Japan. And in Japan, you don't say that the traffic light is green. You say that the shingo is ao, blue. Yes, in Japan, in Japanese, traffic lights are blue, yellow, and red, not green, yellow, and red. And in fact, I know this because it's become something of a running joke between my wife and myself. Whenever we're out and about driving around, she'll always say, "Oh, you can go, honey, the light is blue." No, it's not blue, it's green. Can't you see? That's green, that's not blue. We've been doing that little running gag for many years now. It's funny to no one in the world but us, but it is interesting that in Japanese, you say blue light instead of green light. And that's not the only thing. In fact, the word green in Japanese, midori, did not actually come into usage until the Heian period, so about 1,000 years ago. And even for a very long time after that, green was just considered a shade of blue. So midori was just a kind of ao in Japanese. And because of that, in Japanese, even to this day, there are a number of objects that you and I would think of as green that are still referred to as blue. Shingo, traffic lights being one of them. You say nature isn't green, as we do. You say it's ao, it's blue. Or you say ao ringo, blue apples instead of green apples, things like that. So that's just an odd quirk of Japanese language, and it's interesting to think of the ways that languages evolve in different contexts and what that really means. But that's really not the purpose of today's video. Today's video is being made because recently I've started thinking, you know, there is kind of a tinge of a shade of blue in there. I wonder if Japanese traffic lights are different than Canadian traffic lights. Maybe they are kind of blue-ish. And that is interesting because it sends my mind back to my childhood predictive programming from my years growing up watching television, and Star Trek The Next Generation. There was an episode that came on when I was still in junior high school, Chain of Command, where Picard gets captured by the Cardassians and tortured with a pain device, one of those Star Trek pain devices. You press the button and one of those things. And I remember that episode very well because it's very dramatic at the end. Basically, the idea is that the evil Cardassian, has this setup where he's trying to torture Picard, and he has these 4 lights, these spotlights shining down on Picard's face. And he's saying, "How many lights do you see?" And Picard says, "There are 4 lights." And he says, "I can't understand how you got the answer that incorrect." And he presses the button, and Picard, he wants him to say there are 5 lights. He wants Picard to say there are 5 lights, even though there are clearly 4 there. And so the whole episode is about this kind of power struggle thing that's going on, and Picard refuses to say there are 5 lights. He keeps saying there are 4 lights, or he says, "What lights are you talking about?" or whatever. And then at the very end, it resolves. I don't remember the story, it's 20 plus years ago, but it resolves so that they're going to have to let Picard go. But before they do so, before they tell him about this, they decide one more time to try to break him down, and they give him the offer, just say there are 5 lights and everything will stop, all the pain will go away, you'll have a comfortable life, just say there are 5 lights. And he looks up and he says, "There are 4 lights!" and storms out. And so and then the very, very, very end of the episode is him talking to Counselor Troy, and he says, at that very last moment when I looked up and he would promise me this beautiful life if I just said there were 5 lights, I swear I thought I saw 5 lights. Now, of course, the real illusion going on here is to the torture scene with Winston Smith in 1984. How many fingers am I holding, Winston? But my impressionable junior high school mind was struck by Captain Picard saying, I saw 5 lights. And that's an interesting psychological phenomenon, a very real one. And we may know it today under the term gaslighting. That's a term that's very au courant in this age of Trump derangement syndrome that's certainly made a lot of headlines in the past year or so. But if you check back in the Corbett Report archives, I've been using this term for years and years to describe what the would-be social engineers are doing to us. It goes back at least 3 or 4 years now into the film literature in the New World Order archives, where I was talking with Thomas Sheridan about the film Gaslight and about this psychopath who's trying to manipulate this woman into believing that she's going crazy. So he'll hide things around the house on her and do things like that. And this is his way of trying to make her believe she's going crazy. And the point is, this is what happens to us with the so-called would-be elites. They try to engineer us into believing that you're crazy if you question any of this. You see this footage of WTC7? That is a normal structural collapse. If you think otherwise, you're crazy. Or they'll tell us, aspartame is good for you, aspartame is good for you, aspartame is better than sugar, aspartame is sweet. Oh, wait, actually, no, never mind. It gives you strokes at 3 times the normal rate, but you know, here's the next thing you have to believe, and you'll believe it or you're a crazy conspiracy kook who doesn't believe in science. Or this is about the panopticon control grid. Hey guys, you're absolutely insane screwjob conspiracy nuts for believing that the government is spying on you. Oh wait, actually the NSA is spying on absolutely every communication, everything you say, everything you do, everything you type at all times. But you're still a conspiracy kook for thinking that's a bad thing. It happens over and over and over. They're gaslighting us. They're telling us that green lights are blue. And that's how it works. That's how it rolls. And that's how so much of the public can just go along to get along until they truly do see 5 lights. They really believe it in their soul that they are seeing what they are told to see. Now that's a very, very, very powerful psychological tool for manipulation, and one that does not get broken very easily, which is why sites like the Corbett Report exist in the first place, is to break those tools of conditioning and wear them down eventually, if by attrition, if nothing else. Anyway, so that's where my mind wanders when I start questioning the color of the light, and whether it really is maybe a little bit blue. No, damn it!